Hey everybody, I hope you all are doing well and welcome back. And today we have finally made it to the end of June. And I don't know about you all, but June just seems a lot longer than it was last year. Maybe that's just me. But we are going to do our June 2023 haul where we get a chance to highlight some of the best whiskeys that we found in person in places like Costco and Total Wine and maybe Bevmo. Maybe not actually. But also some that we didn't get to show you because we got them online, we got them overseas, or we got them from the Beyond section. So today we are doing our 7-bottle haul for the month of June. And if you like these videos, if you like our other videos, whether it is the wanders or these hauls or the reviews or the unbottlings, the unboxings, the drink throughs, and really all the amazing stuff that we got cooking up for you, and we have tons of amazing stuff cooking up for you, don't forget to like and subscribe because it does really help the channel to grow, and we are super duper thankful for that. But also, you get notifications when our newest videos come out on Sundays and, sometimes in between. Oh, now, let's get down to the video. So while I am getting warmed up here, and hopefully you all are getting warmed up as well, let's do a little bit of a quick whiskey check after a long month. So I'm going to do something that has a little bit of niceness to it, a little more balance to it than this month did. So I think I'm going to be enjoying some of this Hibiki Harmony. Yeah, get some harmony back into my life. All right, and get some glass here and see if we can get a pop. Up, turn it over. See if we can turn it over. Doesn't look like these things are going to hold all the juice inside. See if we can get a pop. Hey, pretty good. Pretty good. And get some juice here. Oh, yeah. And whiskey, because honestly, let's face it, you can never really drink too much of it. You can just drink it too fast. Cheers. Oh, I feel more harmonious already. So first up for today is a whiskey that I was so excited to find this month that I totally dropped the ball on it, and I completely forgot to get any footage while I was getting it. So yeah, bad on me. I'll take the blame for that one. But either way, first up for today is going to be this Jack Daniel's 10-year-old whiskey, which probably would have been my favorite for this month, except for the fact that we also found the 12 later on. We'll get to that. So, yeah. So the Jack Daniel's 10, the find, was a complete surprise that we found it at our local, just kind of random, run-of-the-mill grocery store here in Los Angeles. It is the second release and the second batch of Jack Daniel's age statement whiskeys in basically as many years. The last time it came out, it totally went under our radar because we had been still relatively new to the whiskey world. So this time around, we really wanted to find it and see if we could find and have an age statement from Jack Daniel's, which is exceedingly rare. In fact, it is the first age statement that Jack Daniel's has had and put out in something like 100 years. Aside from that age statement, it is the standard Jack Daniel's whiskey with a standard mash bill of 80% corn, 12% rye, and 8% malted barley, and with the exception of being aged 10 years and reportedly being stored in better parts of the warehouse, on the right side of the tracks, I guess, it is, again, the standard Jack Daniel's. It is highly allocated and is released yearly with an above average ABV for Jack Daniel's at 48.5%. So that comes out to 97 proof, and you can see that right there, batch number 2. If you look at that in comparison to normal Jack Daniel's, it's at 40% ABV, which is basically just barely what it would need to be called whiskey in the United States. This Jack Daniel's 10 that we got for $77.77, which is kind of a strange price if you start thinking about it. But again, like I said, I was so ecstatic to get it this time around, I completely forgot to take any video on it. And again, it would have been the best bottle in this haul, at least in my opinion, until, we found the 12. So that is the Jack Daniel's 10. We'll start this haul off. Now, next up is a whiskey that the wife was most excited about, which is going to be this Springbank 18 years old. Now, Springbank is one of those scotches that is pretty difficult to get stateside, at least at a reasonable price. And with the 18 specifically, sometimes even at an unreasonable price, it's still pretty hard to get. It's produced in Scotland at the legendary distillery Springbank in Campbelltown. And it is sought after because of Campbelltown's adherence to making whiskey kind of the old school way by hand rather than by, whiskey robots or however you do that. It's ChatGPT. The Springbank 18, if you cannot tell by its really amazing color on it, is aged in ex-bourbon and ex-sherry casks, and is considered to be the mid-range of the age and price that you can find in Springbank. The ABV on it is at a respectable, if not underpowered, 46% ABV or 92 proof, which you can see right there. But then again, you have to think about 18 years ago when this got bottled, there probably wasn't a huge whiskey public demanding ever higher ABVs and willing to pay for it. Now, this one we actually got at a mom and pop market here in Los Angeles, and we got it for $269.99. So we're pretty excited. The wife is very excited to get this one added to the collection, and I'm really interested to try it as we start doing the drink throughs, specifically on the Springbank line. So that is the Springbank 18. Now, speaking of the bourbon rabble clamoring for a higher proof whiskey, I think the next bourbon has much more than enough to really keep up with the modern taste buds, which is going to be this Elijah Craig Batch A123. Now, Elijah Craig is one of those whiskeys that we have got a pretty good head of steam on collecting, but haven't really started drinking through them yet. But seeing something like this, when it comes up, I mean, we really couldn't pass it up because it is something that's really highly sought after and also has a pretty high demand, and also people really like it. So it's a good indicator that it's going to be great. It is produced out of the Heaven Hill Distillery and has a mash bill of 78% corn, 12% malted barley, and 10% rye. And this specifically is a 2023 release. It is the 31st edition of the yearly release that has been sent out by Elijah Craig, and has an ABV that is a very much appreciated 62.8%, or 125.6 proof. Ooh, that's what I'm talking about. Also, it is aged 12 years old. I didn't think it had an age statement on there, but it actually does on the side. You can see here, it is 12 years old. So this is going to be a great addition to our bourbon side of the collection and the Elijah Craig sides, which we have coming up because we got 18 and we got a couple other ones we're going to be drinking down the pipe here. So real excited to have this one. Collection a lot more complete. And I also hear it's a pretty good whiskey. We'll have to see. So that's the Elijah Craig Batch A123. Now, not to be redundant here, but did I mention that the wife really likes Campbelltown whiskeys? Well, so it goes with this next bottle, which is going to be the Longrow 11 years old, the red edition. Now, Longrow 11 is interesting because even though it does come from Springbank, that distillery, the same place as the 18 comes from, it has a much heavier, perhaps more masculinity to it, which makes it one of my favorite varieties to come from the distiller as well. The Longrow 11 is going to be a yearly release as well as like the Elijah Craig. And this one specifically is from 2022 because we haven't got the 2023 yet. Furthermore, it is aged 7 years in ex-bourbon casks and then an additional 4 years ex-tawny port cask. So you get a similar, but sort of a different color as well, like a nice red color in comparison to the Springbank 18, a little more rusty. The bottle run for the Longrow 11 is not tiny, but you know, it's also not a lot. They made 8,400 bottles of it last year. And the ABV on it is one thing that really swerves me towards the Longrow away from the Springbank because it is quite high. It's ABV'd at 57.5% ABV or 115 proof. I guess we'll call that cask strength. So it's got a good ABV burn to it and a heavy peat to boot. So I mean, what's there not to like about it? The way I've got this one from overseas or perhaps from the Beyond section for $169.99. That is the Longrow Red 11 years. All right, so next up is a whiskey in this haul that is probably going to be at least my favorite for the month. And I'm so proud that we even found it. And I'm also proud that I remembered to take video of it, which is this Jack Daniel's 12. And in fact, I think we did a wander, so there's a previous video that you can see if you want to see the full wander for the Jack Daniel's 12. And it really does have a lot of the same stats as the Jack Daniel's 10, with the exception of being 2 years older. Oh, and the ABV. Also, this is the first time that the 12 has really ever been offered in the last 100 years, like the 10, but a little bit older. And so that kind of adds to the prestige as well, you know, at least in my head. Now, the biggest difference is going to be that ABV, because the ABV on the 12 is at 53.5% or 107 proof. When we compare that to the 10, you can definitely see that it is much higher than the 48.5% or 97 proof. So 10 points, I suppose, or 5%. Also, this one is also a 700 milliliter bottle. So it does give you some insight into where Jack Daniel's head is at about who's going to be buying this, or at least where they want to sell it, which will become in very handy if, hopefully, fingers crossed, they decide to start selling some even older versions of Jack Daniel's, maybe at 18 or 20. That'd be great, especially if they keep that ABV up high. So this is the Jack Daniel's 12. Take a look out on the Wanders, and again, probably my favorite one out of the bunch. Now to go to, I'm not gonna call it my least favorite, but this one is the least favorite one that I think I got, and I'm pretty sure I got bamboozled by the Total Wine floor person, who I made the mistake of asking what they would recommend, thinking that they would actually give me a genuine recommendation rather than a fast-talking sales pitch. And there's one thing I'm a sucker for. It's for a good fast-talking sales pitch. Anyways, he recommended this Blackened X collaboration with Wes Henderson. Again, this is one of those situations where the brand is basically going to be a product of the most recent whiskey boom, when novel types of whiskey are devised to be quick money grabs without really advancing whiskey or the corpus of whiskey as a whole really all that much. This Blackened was originally a collaboration between the whiskey maker and Metallica, the band, who I guess they subjected the whiskey to Metallica music during the distillation process. I don't think they were actually there playing it to enhance the flavor. Now, I like Metallica stuff, especially the early stuff and the S&M. You can disagree or not disagree, you know. I like that as much as the next guy. But, you know, playing the music for the whiskey is like saying that you can improve the whiskey by playing old tapes of Tony Robbins to it, hoping that it starts to get the juice of life. To its credit, it is port finished and has a healthy ABV of 58.1%, which you can see right there, or 116.2 proof. So it's got that going for it. But we did end up getting this one at a Total Wine in Las Vegas for $114.99. And again, I'm willing to try it out. Maybe it is something that is amazing, and maybe I'll even get a little bit of that Metallica from the juice rubbing off on me. Dun, 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 dun. So that is a Blackened Wes Henderson. Now, last up today is a bourbon that I am actually genuinely very, very interested to try. It is a whiskey that is going to be for kind of the more geeky, very, very nerdy whiskey drinkers. Basically, the Dungeons and Dragons version of whiskey, which is this Blood Oath Pact number 9. It's produced by Longrow Distilleries and is a blended bourbon with a pretty wide variety of finished and unfinished bourbons and even rye mixed into it, rather promiscuously, which in this case is to the benefit of the whiskey. This one specifically is composed of bourbons that are 16 years old, 12 years old, and 7-year-old rye, and then is finished in Oloroso sherry cask. So, needless to say, the flavor palette is supposed to be very complex and, you know, purposely idiosyncratic, kind of Willy Wonka-esque if you think. I think that is kind of what makes it a big hit with bourbonistas, because of the fact that some years it's gonna zig and other years it's gonna zond, and some years it even zags. Just kind of gonna keep it very lively for each of the editions, but so far they've all been pretty good. This one was an annual release for 2023. It has an ABV at 49.3% or 98.6 proof, which is not that impressive. But again, I think the complexity is what people are looking for here, not the fire-breathing experience. And the wife, she got this one for $149.99 online. So it is good to try this one out against some of the other packs that we have so far. And I'm really interested to see how that whiskey changes over time. So that is the Blood Oath Pact 9. All right, so that's it for today's haul for June 2023. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you enjoy all of our videos, whether it's the Wanders or the hauls or the reviews or the unbottlings, the unboxings, really all the amazing stuff we got cooking up. And now the drink throughs, we got those coming up here too. But if you do enjoy it, please don't forget to like and subscribe because one, it does really help the channel to grow. And again, we are so thankful for that. Also, I like to think it is good for your whiskey mojo, and you know, it pleases the whiskey god. So you know, that's always good to do as well. But also because you get notifications when our newest videos come out on Sundays and, you know, sometimes in between. Now, just remember, if you do find a whiskey that you love, just buy it. Because if you don't, somebody else surely will. And in this case, you know what? It might even be me, especially this Jack Daniel's 12. Anyways, have a great rest of the week. I'm out, and adios.